the eye of history. Imagine a stone, not just any stone, but a mountain of light, a teardrop of the gods, a sliver of celestial fire. For centuries, it has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, felt the warmth of royal brows and the cold grip of conquest. It has been coveted, fought over, stolen, gifted, and cursed. It rests today behind thick glass in the Tower of London, a cold, brilliant prisoner of history, known to the world as the Kohinoor Diamond. But the story we think we know of the simple tale of a gem taken from India by the British is merely the final page of an epic saga. The Kohinoor's journey is a river of blood and power that flows back through time, long before it ever reached the hands of a Mughal emperor or a British queen. This is not just the story of a diamond. This is the story of India itself, reflected in a single, flawless facet. A story of myth and reality, of dazzling courts and bloody battlefields, of honor and betrayal. This is the untold story of the Kohinoor, Part 1. In the realm of gods and kings are the diamond's dawn. Our story begins not in a historical record, but in the shimmering heat of ancient India, in a time when history and legend were woven from the same cloth. The earliest whispers of the Kohinoor point to the coal mine in the Golconda region, a place so rich in diamonds it was said to be the treasure chest of the earth itself. For thousands of years, the Krishna River Valley yielded gems that found their way to Rome, Persia, and beyond. But the stone that would become the Kohinoor was no ordinary find. According to Hindu belief, it was far older and more divine. A Sanskrit text, the Bhavishya Purana, mentions a magnificent diamond owned by the sun god, Surya. It was said that the one who possessed it would hold unparalleled power, but would also bear the weight of the world. Another legend claims it was the Simantakamani, the jewel worn by the god Krishna, which produced a mountain of gold every day but brought misfortune to any unrighteous owner. The first solid historical footprint appears in the early 14th century. The diamond was in the possession of the Kakatiya dynasty, who ruled from their magnificent capital, Warangal. It was not a solitary gem then, but likely the central eye of a grand idol of the goddess Bhadrakali in her temple. It was part of a divine spectacle, reflecting the light of 1,000 oil lamps, worshipped by thousands. This peaceful existence was shattered in 1310 by the armies of the Delhi Sultanate, led by the ferocious Alauddin Khilji. His general, Malik Kafur, stormed south, his eyes fixed on the legendary wealth of the Deccan. The siege of Warangal was brutal. The Kakatiya king, Prataparudra, fought valiantly, but the outcome was inevitable. The scene in the temple would have been one of chaos and sacrilege. Soldiers, their armor stained with dust and blood, pouring into the sacred precincts. The priestly guardians would have watched in horror as the invaders approached the idol. The diamond, the eye of their goddess, was pried from its socket. It was an act not just of plunder, but of spiritual conquest. The stone passed from the realm of the divine to the coffers of a sultan. It was taken to Delhi, where it entered their long, bloody parade of Indian history. For the next 2 centuries, the diamond traveled between the rulers of the Delhi Sultanate, the Tughlaqs, the Sayyids, the Lodis. It was a symbol of sovereignty, a trophy that legitimized the ruler. But its story during this time is shadowy, a ghost moving through the annals of time. It was just one gem among many, its future fame yet unformed. Part 2. The Peacock Throne. Now the gem finds a name. The diamond's destiny changed forever when it came into the possession of Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. In 1526, Babur defeated the last Lodi Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi, at the pivotal Battle of Panipat. In the vast treasure looted from Lodi's camp was a magnificent diamond. Babur, in his memoirs, the Baburnama, mentions it with awe. He called it the Diamond of Babur, and noted it was so valuable it could feed the entire world for 2.5 days. This is the first definitive written account of the stone we know as the Kohinoor. For the next 200 years, the diamond remained with the Mughals, the supreme power in India. It witnessed the grandeur of Akbar's court in Fatehpur Sikri and the opulence of Shah Jahan's reign in Shah Jahanabad, the new city of Delhi. It was Shah Jahan, the master builder of the Taj Mahal, who gave the Kohinoor its most spectacular setting. Shah Jahan commissioned the ultimate symbol of power, the peacock throne. It was not so much a throne as a celestial platform, made of solid gold, inlaid with countless rubies, emeralds, and pearls. It was crowned by a canopy supported by 12 emerald pillars. 2 peacocks, their tails fanned out in a blaze of sapphires and diamonds, stood behind the seat. And at the very head of one of these peacocks, serving as its radiant eye, was the diamond we now call the Kohinoor. Imagine the scene in the Diwan-i-Khas, the hall of private audiences. The air thick with the scent of rose water and sandalwood, courtiers in silks and jewels standing in respectful silence. And there, upon the peacock throne, sat Shah Jahan, the king of the world, the Kohinoor glittering above him, a visible manifestation of his immense power. It was during this era that the stone truly became Kohinoor, or a Persian for mountain of light. The name was a perfect description of its breathtaking size and brilliance. But the diamond's association with the Mughals also cemented its legendary curse, for Shah Jahan's story ended not in glory, but in tragic captivity. His son, Aurangzeb, seized power, plunging the empire into a bitter war of succession. The victorious Aurangzeb imprisoned his own father in the Agra fort for the last 8 years of his life. From his cell, the aging emperor had a single, heartbreaking view: the Taj Mahal, the tomb of his beloved wife. The Kohinoor, the jewel of his throne, was now in the possession of the son who had betrayed him. The curse of misfortune for its possessor seemed to be taking hold. Part 3, The Lion's Share, Nadir Shah and the Exodus from India. The Mughal Empire, after Aurangzeb, began to fracture. The central power weakened, and regional governors, the Nizams and Nawabs, grew increasingly autonomous. The Kohinoor remained in Delhi, but the throne it adorned was growing shaky. In 1739, a storm from the north arrived at the gates of Delhi. Nadir Shah, the ruthless and brilliant ruler of Persia, descended upon the Mughal capital with a battle-hardened army. The Mughal emperor, Muhammad Shah, was no match for the Persian invader. Delhi fell, and a brutal massacre ensued. Nadir Shah's goal was the legendary wealth of the Mughals. He systematically stripped the city and the royal treasury of its treasures. But one prize eluded him, the Kohinoor. He had heard tales of its brilliance, but it was nowhere to be found. The story goes that he grew increasingly frustrated. Then, he received a tantalizing piece of information from a harem attendant. The emperor, Muhammad Shah, never parted with the diamond. He kept it hidden within his turban, a symbol of his personal sovereignty. A clever plan was hatched. Nadir Shah proposed a grand feast to celebrate a supposed peace treaty. During the festivities, adhering to a custom of extreme courtesy, he suggested they exchange turbans as a sign of brotherly bond. Trapped by etiquette and powerless to refuse, the Mughal emperor had no choice but to comply. With a forced smile, he unwound his turban and handed it to the Persian conqueror. That night, in the privacy of his tent, Nadir Shah eagerly unwound the silken folds. As the cloth fell away, the diamond tumbled into his hand, catching the lamplight. The chronicler of the event recorded Nadir Shah's astonished exclamation, "Kohinoor, or a mountain of light." The name stuck, and from that moment, it was forever associated with the stone. Nadir Shah took the diamond, along with the peacock throne itself, and left Delhi, leaving behind a broken empire and a plundered city. The Kohinoor had left India for the first time, but its journey was far from over. Nadir Shah's possession was short-lived. He was assassinated in 1747, and his empire crumbled. The diamond became the prize of his loyal general, Ahmad Shah Durrani, who carried it to Afghanistan and founded the Durrani Empire. For 70 years, the Kohinoor was the symbol of Afghan monarchy, a glittering reminder of a lost Indian kingdom. Part 4, The Maharaja and the King, a fateful gift or a forced tribute. The diamond yearned for home, in a manner of speaking. Its return to India was orchestrated by a man who would become both a friend and a foe to the rising British power, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Lion of Punjab. Ranjit Singh was a Sikh warrior of unparalleled brilliance. From a young age, He built a powerful kingdom in the Punjab region, with its capital in Lahore. He was a master strategist and a charismatic leader, though he was missing an eye and was illiterate. His wisdom was legendary. He knew the power of symbols, and he coveted the ultimate symbol of South Asian sovereignty. The Kohinoor Diamond was then with Shah Shua, a deposed Afghan king living in exile. Ranjit Singh provided Shua shelter, but at a price. The negotiations were tense, set against the backdrop of the Lahore fort. Shah Shua, a broken man, clung to the diamond as his last shred of royalty. Ranjit Singh, powerful and impatient, wanted it as the crown jewel of his new empire. The story goes that Ranjit Singh's methods of persuasion were broken bar direct. He invited Shah Shua to a ceremonial visit. After the formalities, Ranjit Singh reportedly turned to his guest and said, "His one good eye fixed on him. I am told you possess the Kohinoor, a stone of such magnificence is best suited for a king who is strong enough to hold it. A king, for instance, who can offer protection to a royal guest." The message was clear. The diamond was the price for his safety. Under immense duress, Shah Shua reluctantly surrendered the gem in 1813. The moment of transfer was dramatic. Ranjit Singh, upon receiving the diamond, is said to have exclaimed, "This alone is worth the value of my kingdom." He had it tested by his court jewelers, who confirmed its unparalleled quality. For the next 3 decades, the Kohinoor was Ranjit Singh's most prized possession. He wore it on his arm during state occasions, and it became synonymous with the power and pride of the Sikh Empire. This period is crucial to the modern controversy. The British would later claim the Kohinoor was a gift to them, but its path to Britain ran through Ranjit Singh, and he, a sovereign king, had acquired it through a transaction that was, at best, coerced. The diamond's history was already a chain of transfers under pressure. Part 5. The company's gambit annexation and acquisition. Ranjit Singh died in 1839. His empire, built on his personal authority, began to unravel. A series of short-lived successors sat on the throne, and the court was rife with intrigue. In the background, the East India Company, a commercial enterprise that had become a colonial power, watched with keen interest. The Punjab was the last independent kingdom standing between company-controlled India and the British Empire's complete domination of the subcontinent. The British found a pretext for war, and the 2 Anglo-Sikh Wars, 1845-46 and 1848-49, were brutal, hard-fought conflicts. The Sikh army, the Khalsa, was one of the most formidable in India. But after the Second War, the British emerged victorious. The final battle culminated in the annexation of the Punjab. The last Maharaja was Duleep Singh, the youngest son of Ranjit Singh. He was just a boy, 10 years old, when the Treaty of Lahore was signed in 1849. This document, signed under the shadow of British guns, formally ended the Sikh kingdom, and buried within its articles was a single, momentous clause. Article 3 stated, "The gem called the Kohinoor, which was taken from Shah Shua al-Mulk by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, shall be surrendered by the Maharaja of Lahore to the Queen of England." The language is cold and legalistic. Surrendered, not gifted. The boy king, Duleep Singh, too young to understand the full weight of the transaction, was made to present the diamond to the British crown. The scene was orchestrated as an act of submission. Lord Dalhousie, the Governor-General of India, was the mastermind behind this acquisition. He saw the Kohinoor not just as a gem, but as a symbol of the complete subjugation of India. In his own words, it was a token of the conquest of India. The handing over was a carefully staged event. The young Duleep Singh, dressed in court finery, was escorted by British officials. He presented the diamond to Sir John Lawrence, the British representative. Legend has it that Lawrence, a practical soldier administrator, was so careless with the stone that he temporarily lost it. The story goes that he had placed it in a waistcoat pocket and forgotten about it. When the panic set in, his servant, knowing his master's habits, found it neatly folded in a box of clothes sent for laundering. Whether true or not, the anecdote highlights the cultural chasm. For Indians, it was the mountain of light. For some British, it was merely a valuable piece of war booty. Part 6. A new, unloved setting out the journey to Britain. The Kohinoor was now British property. Lord Dalhousie arranged for its transport to England with the care of a military operation. It was placed in a small, iron safe, which was then sealed inside a larger, reinforced box. This was entrusted to two officers from the British East India Company, who travelled with it under armed guard from Lahore to Bombay. From there, it was loaded onto the HMS Madhya, a paddle steamer. The journey was fraught with peril, but not from thieves or rebels. The ship encountered a violent cholera outbreak, and then a terrible storm off the coast of Mauritius that threatened to sink it. To superstitious minds, the curse of the Kohinoor was making its presence felt, but the ship survived, and in July 1850, it arrived in Portsmouth. The diamond was presented to Queen Victoria at a grand ceremony at Buckingham Palace. The British public was captivated. The Kohinoor was put on display at the Great Exhibition of 1851 in London's Crystal Palace, but the reception was a broken bar mixed. The gem, cut in the traditional Indian rose style, was designed to catch light from above and diffuse it in a soft, milky glow. To European eyes, accustomed to the sharp, fiery brilliance of modern brilliant cuts, it appeared dull. The press was unimpressed. One newspaper compared it to a piece of glass. This public disappointment was a blow to British pride. They had taken the most famous diamond in the world, and it was, in their view, underwhelming. A decision was made. The Kohinoor must be recut. The task was given to a Dutch jeweler, Moses Coster, using a steam-powered cutting wheel. The process took 38 grueling days. It was a brutal transformation. The original 191-carat stone was reduced to a 105.6-carat oval brilliant. The craftsman had prioritized brilliance over size. The loss was immense. Nearly 90 carats of diamond ground into dust. To many, it was a metaphor for the British relationship with India, taking something ancient and unique and reshaping it to fit their own tastes, destroying its original character in the process. The recut diamond was set into a brooch for Queen Victoria. Later, it was mounted in the crown of Queen Alexandra, and then the crown of Queen Mary. Finally, in 1937, it found its current home, set into the front cross of the crown of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. It was worn by her during the coronation of her husband, King George VI, and later at the coronation of her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. Part 7. The Legacy: A Curse, Controversy, and a Captive Symbol. The Kohinoor's story did not end when it was set into the crown. Its legacy is alive with controversy, mystery, and powerful emotions. The curse, the legend of the curse, that it brings misfortune to any male who wears it, persists. The curse is often traced back to a Hindu text that supposedly stated, "He who owns this diamond will own the world, but will also know all its misfortunes." Only God, or a woman, can wear it with impunity. While the exact origins of this text are debated, the British royal family has seemingly adhered to it since its acquisition. The diamond has only been worn by queens and queen consorts, never by a king. Coincidence or caution? The stories of Nadir Shah, Ranjit Singh's lost empire, and the tragic life of Duleep Singh, who died in exile, lonely and broken, are often cited as evidence. The mystery of Duleep Singh, the boy king who surrendered the diamond, lived a life of profound tragedy. He was converted to Christianity, taken to England, and became a favorite of Queen Victoria's court. He was, in effect, remade as an English gentleman. But as an adult, he grew increasingly bitter about the loss of his kingdom and his diamond. He attempted to return to India and reclaim his throne, but was stopped by the British. He died in Paris, a man without a country. His life a poignant footnote to the Kohinoor's story. The enduring controversy. Today, the Kohinoor is at the center of an international ownership dispute. India, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan have all, at various times, laid claim to the diamond, based based on their historical connections to it. The British government's position has been consistent and firm. The acquisition was legal and legitimate, and they will not repatriate it. They argue that it is an integral part of the crown jewels, viewed by millions of people from around the world. Conclusion: the mountain of light in the mountain of time. So, what is the true story of the Kohinoor? Is it a spoil of war, a symbol of colonial oppression, a cultural artifact, or a beautiful gem with a bloody past? The answer is that it is all these things. Its 500-year documented history is a microcosm of power dynamics in South Asia and beyond. It began as the eye of a goddess, was worn by Mughal emperors who saw themselves as shadows of God on earth, was seized by Persian conquerors, claimed by Sikh lions, and finally taken by a distant island empire upon which the sun never set. It has been a religious icon, a royal insignia, a war trophy, and a museum piece. The Kohinoor's journey from India's throne to the British crown is not a simple linear path. It is a tangled web of ambition, power, and cultural collision. It rests now in the Tower of London, behind bulletproof glass, its physical journey paused. But its story continues to be written with every debate, every claim for its return, and every gaze that meets its multifaceted surface. It is more than a diamond. It is a mountain of light, yes, but also a mountain of history, casting a long, complex shadow. It is a silent witness to the rise and fall of empires. A cold, hard testament to the fact that the most valuable things in history are often those that carry the heaviest weight of human drama. And as long as it sits in its cage of glass and steel, its story remains unfinished, waiting for the next turn in the page of history.